If you could turn your screens on so I can see you all. I know that that bothers Rebecca and Mark, but we're going to start the meeting with a Pledge of Allegiance. Could join me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If I could have a moment of silence, which will be easy, everybody hit mute for men and women in uniform and those fighting COVID-19. Thank you. We'll open the meeting at 1 minute after 6. Remember, folks, if you have a conflict of interest, make sure you disclose it before any votes by the Board of Selectmen. We have an executive session that's coming up next as our adjustment to the meeting. The rest of the meeting will ensue after the executive session. I need a motion to go into executive session for consultation with legal.
I'll make a motion that we go into executive session pursuant to MRSA 4056E, consultation with legal.
Second.
Thank you, Ethan. Thank you, Cindy. All those in favor of going into executive session? Ethan?
Aye.
Cindy?
Aye.
Shelley? Shelley? David?
Nay.
Aye for me. We're going into a executive session, 3-1. Thank you. I want to wait till everybody else is either put in a waiting room or whatever it is you do back there. You're right. Come out of executive session and we can do it because they're still fiddling around with it.
It's just going to take me a second. Hang on.
Okay, we'll wait.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Chair, we've got only folks that are authorized to be in. I would recommend, just for housekeeping purposes, ask the question if there's anybody here that doesn't belong here, but I don't see anybody that doesn't. So I think you're ready to go.
I'm going to acquiesce to your better judgment and welcome Steve Langsdorff.
Thank you.
Okay. Shelley was on earlier. I don't know what happened. Does anybody know? Steve, bear with us for just a second. I want to give Shelley a call and
No problem. There she is.
oh, there she is. Okay. Shelley, we're in executive session. We had a 3-1 vote to get us in. If you could come off mute now and we can all participate. Joe Haley had some questions about this. Joe, you want to give a brief overview and
I'm out.
okay.
You are recording now, and you've got one person waiting to come back in. Give them another second. Okay, I think you've got everybody in the room now.
Okay, we're going to come out at 6:19 of executive session. And now we'll move to review and approve the minutes, February 16th.
Make a motion that we approve the Board of Selectmen regular meeting minutes for Tuesday, February 16th with any corrections.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Ethan, thank you. Cindy, thank you. Any corrections, changes, additions? All those in favor? Ethan?
Aye.
Cindy?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Shelley? Shelley? Okay, I can't hear you, Shelley. 5-0, thank you. February 22nd, budget meeting.
Make a motion that we approve the February 22nd Budget Committee and Board of Selectmen meeting minutes.
Second.
Thank you. Been seconded. Questions, changes, comments? Ethan,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Cindy,
Aye.
Shelley? Okay, I saw your mouth move, but Shelley, I still can't hear you. 5-0, aye. Public to speak. That would be Mark? No? Okay. Rebecca, do you have any comments? You all set as a public? Okay, very good. Boards and committees. You saw the planning board meeting from their February 10th. Questions, comments? Okay, thank you. Consent items.
Actually,
Oh, I'm sorry, Cindy.
I'm sorry. Yeah, just a question. So with the internally lit signs that aren't allowed, what's the follow-up with that for those that do exist? Or is that something that the planning board is working on, or?
Good question. I don't have an answer for it. Do you have anything, Joe?
I can get an answer and get back to you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Thanks.
Rebecca, do you have any comment on that? You're on the planning board.
So we thought about all the ones that are out there. Internally lit sign was like the ones that were at the one that was at the loony bin, but is no longer. I honestly don't think there is any internally lit signs if you read it by definition. There's lit signs, there's the message boards. So by definition, we don't think there is one that is in Rangeley or Aquasic.
Okay. I read the same thing, Cindy, and here's what I was wondering. If a sign is boxed in and there's a light in behind, is that an internally lit system? Or if there's something that is affixed to the building with no sides to it, and there's lighting behind it, is that an internally lit sign? I guess I didn't know where to go with that either, so I don't know how to answer it. What's your
Yeah, I guess
suggestion, Cindy?
It was just I was just reviewing, the minutes. Over the years being on the board, there's just been comments about signs that are self-lit as opposed to having a light shine on them and being externally lit. And yeah, I guess that is, and maybe I should read the ordinance a little closer, but yeah, just for the sake of consistency, if there's an outside sign that is self-lit, is that considered in violation of the sign ordinance?
Don't have an
Something-
answer. Any
Yeah,
other-
I mean,
any
I'm
other-
not asking for an answer right now. It
Oh, I
was just a
understand.
comment on the minutes.
No, I understand. It's a valid question. Valid question.
Franklin Savings Bank would be an interior lit sign. I don't know of any other ones. Can't think of anything right off the top of my head, but that's
Oh,
one.
sure, you'd say that 3 days after your wife retires.
But I know that's one, and I don't know if Mike Koob lights his up or what's, I can't remember.
I
No,
think Lakeside Convenience used to have an internally lit sign. I don't think they do anymore. I don't know if the bowling alleys is considered internally lit or not. That lower part.
no, that's one of the marquee, what do you call those again, Rebecca?
Like a ticker.
It's a message board. That's not
Message
considered
board,
by definition internally lit. No.
Doc Grant's back when David and I first started drinking was internally lit.
Yeah,
Mark hadn't moved to town yet. He was not here yet. Okay, anything else for that one? Planning board? Moving on. Let's move to consent item liquor license. This is a FYI. Joe, you want to explain that?
So, Mr. Chairman, there actually is action pending on the license. The FYI that I have for the board is that this particular item, this establishment did not have an active license from June till now, and the state is aware of that. The state will, once you approve this and we send it in, the state will work on it on their end. There's nothing we need to do locally with that period of time between June and now. But this is an application for your review this evening and consideration of approving it. It is an action item.
I need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the liquor license renewal for CNC Food Design LLC doing business as The Shed.
I'll second it. Any discussion?
So, Steve, if I may.
Sure.
Yeah. So, Joe, is the expiration date of 6/13/2020, is that the issue, that it had lapsed?
That is the issue, Mr. Chair, that it had
Okay.
lapsed. And the town clerk reached out to the state of Maine and they said, just proceed with it, have the town approve it, and the state of Maine will work on the period of time where between June and now. They'll deal with the applicant directly.
There were a number of liquor licenses in this last go around throughout the state that due to COVID and all of the work at home people, there was lots of issues with those, and the state has been great in getting them fixed. I happen to have been a recipient of those COVID related issues in the Maine State Liquor Commission. Since has been resolved. Have no fear, I have a liquor license hanging in the bar. Any other questions? Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Ethan?
Aye.
Cindy?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Shelley? Aye. 5-0. Thank you. Notice of elections on March 9th, special town meeting next Tuesday. Elections open up at 8 in the morning and close at 8 at night. Correct, Rebecca? Just shake your head. Yep. Okay, thank you. Any questions about that? Joe, any comments?
Mr. Chair, this is for the article relating to TIF district. This is March 9th, special town meeting.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on that? Okay. Appointments. You have a,
Mr. Chairman? Excuse me.
yes,
That's an action item. Sorry about that. I should have mentioned that to you. Notice of election is an action item for the board to sign.
need a motion.
On which, the appointment?
No, action item for the special town meeting, March 9th for the TIF district.
So moved.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Thanks.
Who seconded?
I will.
David, thank you. Ethan?
Aye.
Cindy?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Shelley? Thank you. Aye, for myself. Just one more time. Shelley, if you're going to speak, if you're going to ask a question, just wave to me and then you'll do whatever you have to do so I can hear you. Okay, thank you. Appointments, Sewer Commission. You have in front of you a request to get on the Sewer Commission.
Mr.
Make a
Chair, I
motion
make a
that we-
motion to
Go ahead.
appoint Lee R. Grant for a 3-year term on the Rangeley Sewer Commission.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions, comments? All those in favor, Ethan,
Aye.
Cindy,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Shelley? Thank you. Aye, 5-0. Airport Manager. I would like to nominate Joe Roach, our town manager, to take over the duties of the airport.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions before Joe says no? Ethan,
Aye.
Cindy,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Shelley, I lost you.
Aye.
Aye, there you go. It disappeared on me. There you go. 5-0. Richie, is there any reason why she keeps going out on me? Okay, all right. Next up is interim town clerk, Joe Rhodes. Could you give everybody an update on what's going on?
I can, Mr. Chair, thank you. Last week, I accepted with regret the resignation of our current town clerk. Her last day of service will be March 9th. She's going to stay with us through the end of the special town meeting. I want to thank her for her service to the town. I appreciate everything she did for us. The reason I am coming to you tonight is in compliance with the staffing policy. I want to get your approval on my plan to fill the position on the interim. I have met with the town office staff, shared my plan with them. They're in agreement with it. So the next step is to have the board's approval on this. What I would like to do is appoint the current finance assistant to the interim town clerk beginning March 10 through June 30 to try that out. Because we'll be one person down on the staff out there, I would like to offer a stipend to each of the 3 folks that'll be working out front. The town clerk would have a $200 stipend per week, and then the other 2 folks would have a $125 stipend per week through June 30 to pick up the duties of the clerk that will be absent or no longer with us. So that is what I'm looking for approval on tonight, Mr. Chairman.
Questions? All right, I need a motion to approve Joe's plan.
I make a motion to approve Joe's plan to move the finance director into the town clerk's position on March
Assistant
10th.
finance director. Assistant.
Assistant finance director, and to present stipends to the 3 named positions that will be picking up the duties until June.
Thank you, Ethan.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you, Cindy. Any more questions regarding this? In favor, Ethan?
Aye.
Thank you, Cindy.
Aye.
Thank you, David.
Aye.
Thank you, Shelley. Okay, 5-0. Aye. Next up is the firefighters lot authorization for the town manager to sign. Joe, would you give an explanation, please?
Certainly will, Mr. Chair. So this is the lot that the board has spoken about a couple of times. The survey company came, did the on-the-ground work, did the description. I shared the description with Attorney Langsdorff. He formatted it into the deed format that you see there, but he also included on page 2 a paragraph that, if you don't mind, I'll read out loud for folks that don't have it in front of them. In the event that the RFA dissolves, terminates, or otherwise ceases to exist, the property shall automatically revert to the town without the need for further instrument. In addition, the RFA is Rangeley Firefighters Association, may not grant, assign, convey, or transfer the property. Any attempt to do so automatically terminates RFA's right, title, and interest in and to the property, and the property shall revert to the town without the need for further instrument. This reversionary interest set forth in this instrument shall terminate on December 31, 2061.
Thank you, Joe. Any questions regarding this? I need a motion.
Make a motion that we approve E. Joseph Roach, town manager, to sign the municipal quitclaim deed from the inhabitants of the town of Rangeley to the Rangeley Firemen's Association, Inc.
Moved.
Second it.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Cindy. Moved and seconded. Ethan?
Aye.
Cindy?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Shelley?
Aye.
Thank you. 5-0. You have in front of you the CMP list, et cetera. And with, first of all, before we go any farther, I'd feel real good about signing a letter that thanks Dennis Marquis for putting a lot of time and effort into this. I know that used to be his forte, but took it upon himself to help us move forward with this and help Joe. If you would give me a verbal nod or just put my signature on something that says thank you to him from all of us, I would appreciate it. You feel good with that, Ethan? Cindy? You feel
Yes.
good with that?
Absolutely.
Okay, David, Shelley?
Idea.
Okay, good. Go ahead, Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As the chairman noted, the amendments to this proposed contract, the amendments to the contract come from work that Dennis Marquis did. He pointed out some areas in town that would benefit from some streetlights that don't have them. I believe I brought that list to you a while back. I reached out to CMP. They were receptive to it. And Dennis has a very good rapport with CMP. And they made it clear that he still has some influence there. So this was a good thing for Rangeley. We've got the intersections that he noted. One is Bonnie Point, I believe, and Route 4. One is Dodge Pond. One is Quimby Pond. And then recently at the final, actually, Keith and I thought we were wrapped up. Dennis came in with one more suggestion at the end of the Manor Road. So that's one you haven't seen yet, but is in this agreement, is a new light at the end of the Manor Road. So that's basically what happened. Dennis came forward and pointed out some things, and they also are going to take off, CMP will take out poles that don't exist or streetlights that don't exist anymore. So it should just balance out for us. So I'm looking for authorization to sign the amendment, Mr. Chairman.
Hey, Joe Roach, did we end up adding a light on the lower part of Allen Street?
Yes,
No,
we
we
did.
talked about it.
We did, Mr. Chair. It's actually, I'm sorry I omitted that one. It wasn't on purpose, but we originally, Keith and I thought it was an intersection light, but working with CMP, it's just up the hill a little bit. I think it's pole 3.2. So it's not right at the intersection. It'll be up 150, 200 feet or something, but there will be a light at towards the bottom of Allen Street under this amendment.
Awesome.
Any other questions? Could I have a motion, please?
Make a motion that we authorize the town manager to sign the amendment to the agreement for street and area lighting with Central Maine Power.
I'll second that motion.
Moved and seconded. Thank you. Further questions, comments? Ethan?
Aye.
Cindy?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Shelley? Thank you. 5-0. You have some correspondence from the Franklin County, Charlie Woodworth at the Franklin County Development. Joe, you want to give us your thoughts and wants and desires in this regard?
Sure, Mr. Chair. This is a letter that's a kind of a follow-up to a conversation that Charlie and I had. The folks that he works with there at the Development Council, apparently they haven't gotten funding from the county recently. So they're asking municipalities to help them out, to help them fund their operations. I have seen, he did forward me something from Farmington. Farmington had helped by raising some money at their town meeting to offset the costs. So he's requesting some help to keep their operations going. As you know, they've been helpful to us in our broadband pursuits. And they do general economic development countywide. So they are kind of a liaison between us and the rest of the county. So I wanted to bring this to you. He had sent it to me. They're asking for $7,668. I did not place this amount of money in the budget. because I wanted to bring this letter to you and share it with you and get your thoughts on it, Mr. Chairman. You do have, if I could add one more thing, there is money in reserve for economic development. If you chose to go in that direction, that could be an option to you.
Questions? Cindy?
What did they ask from the plantations, Joe? Did he mention that?
I do not have that number, Mr. Chair. I'd be happy to get that for the board and bring it back in a couple of weeks.
Good question. I think it's germane to this too. My sense is and I'm sure everybody else is feeling the same way. If the total bill is being divided up amongst Franklin County towns and municipalities, I'd feel better about participating. But if we're shouldering the entire number because we've been helpful in the past, I'm not in favor of that. Any other questions? You had your hand up again, Cindy?
Yeah, when I first read this, it concerned me because it really sets an undesirable precedent, because the other nonprofits have to submit a petition. And granted, this year we didn't have anyone sign require signatures, but they had to put in a request for funding. But I guess we could show that Greater Franklin Developmental Council has provided direct services to the town, and probably the only way that does make sense is what our town manager had suggested, is if the board, takes it out of the economic development reserve, because that's who they've provided services for, or in that area.
Thank you. Shelley? Hold on. Can everybody hear Shelley?
No,
Okay, Shelley, you got to find a way to turn your microphone up somehow.
I don't know what to do.
can hear you a little bit.
Yeah, a tiny bit. Get closer to it.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
A little bit
Yeah.
better. Go
A
ahead.
little bit better.
So what happened with the Greater Franklin Development is that the county commissioners decided that they weren't going to vote for any donations. So what they had to do is they had to go to each town and request funds. And they're trying to get it back on the county, but unfortunately that's not happening. The other thing is, I'm not sure what the equation is that he came up for to that dollar amount, because if it's based on, but we also pay for an economic developer, which no other towns pay for. So I don't know if that is part of the consideration as well, because we also have that additional cost, and where he is the middle person in between. In some cases, a lot of the stuff we're acting on our own as well. I think that Charlie does a great job in what he does, but I'm just not sure about that dollar amount. And to me, it would be considered a donation. So if he has something for a request for a donation, he should have to follow the same process. So I'm not sure if we want to tell him the process going forward, if this is what we would like submitted, or what we want as an action of the board.
Thank you, Shelley. Ethan, did you have anything?
Yeah, I echo Shelley's sentiments, at least somewhat. If someone's asking for a donation, then it needs to go in the budget and be put before the people as a donation. How we handle it at this moment, I'm not sure.
Okay, David?
Yeah, it doesn't make much difference to me. Basically, they're working on the broadband is what they're really, the only thing I know they're doing. Maybe?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. In the for what it's worth category, I have a couple of notes on this here. I'm in agreement with Cindy. Well, I'm in agreement with most of you in part. If we're going to take money, first of all, out of the Economic Development Committee, I want input from them. And in the future, because of the nature of what they're doing, I think Charlie Woodworth should be communicating with them directly, and any money that he's going to be asking from the town of Rangeley should go through the Economic Development Committee with their stamp of approval if we're going to fund it. And then the funding process has to be figured out, whether it's a donation or it's part of their budget. That's my 2 cents worth. Shelley, you have your hand up?
Yeah, one of the other questions that they were asking at the economic development meeting, and I'm not sure if Joe, you can answer it or not. We got a couple bills that we paid to Greater Franklin.
We did.
So
And we
is
authorized that 2
part-
meetings ago.
Right. So is that part of our contribution? Because they were on for a donation, but they did not get voted on. They lost the vote last year.
Yeah, I'm
For
gonna have to
donation
defer
before.
to you on that one, Shelley. I know I went down to help, but was the 2 meetings that I went to at Franklin County down at the courthouse, the county building, they tabled it both times, so there was no discussion while I was there. I don't know what the final. Joe, do you have any recommendations on that, Joe Roach?
Mr. Chair, I believe the portion that the board voted to pay recently is for work encumbered or work done recently in this fiscal year. I think what Charlie is asking for is this amount of 7668 beginning, I believe he's asking for that beginning July 1. I think that would be the difference.
Thank you. So what's your sentiment on this? Get information back before we move and table it tonight? Would you agree?
Table it tonight.
Can I get a straw poll from you? Would you agree this should be going through the Economic Development Committee, particularly if we're going to be taking money out of their budget?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Joe, we got your marching orders on that one. Thanks, everyone. Mark, did you have a comment? I'm sorry, I didn't look at you on the screen. Okay, thank you. Old business, tax penalty inquiry. Gonna have Joe talk about this here. Number 1 in old business.
So, Mr. Chairman, there's an item that's a carryover from your last meeting. It was originated as a Freedom of Access Act request relating to an IRS penalty for a statement that the town did not back up withhold certain tax liabilities related to Form 945. This had to do with a module in our software, wasn't populated correctly at the time. There were a series of questions that were turned in. If the board would like me to go through those questions now, I can do that happily.
Are you all comfortable with having Joe go through that?
Yep.
Yep. Ethan?
Yeah.
David?
Yeah.
Shelley?
Yes.
Yeah, I am as well. Go ahead, Joe.
Okay. So they're not numbered, but there are a total of 5 questions. The first 4, I'm going to answer all the same way. We did a search of minutes, select board minutes. I did not find any dates for the first 4. The answer to the 5th one is that we didn't learn, we being the town, didn't learn that there was interest associated with this until November of 2020. That answers the question of why we're still paying interest in November of 2020. We didn't learn of it. If you see the memo that's in your packet, you'll see that we didn't learn of it until then. So for the first 4, we did a minute search, Tracy and I did, and I didn't find any record of it. So that would be the same answer to all 4 of those first questions.
Anything else, Joe?
I think that's all I have. I'd be happy to answer questions.
All right, Ethan, any questions?
No.
Cindy?
yeah. So Steve, when did you become aware of this?
The day before I had to sign the papers after talking to John Madigan. I don't have the date, Cindy. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I can tell you.
They were,
I know that when I came into the office, Tracy made me aware of it. We got John Madigan on the phone, so that date would have been the 28th. No, wait a minute, that's not correct. I don't have it in front of me, Cindy. But when I came into the office, because that was during, as you know, John wasn't here a lot. We called him, we went over it. He explained as best to me as he could what it was and what happened. He spoke about the computer issue and said, here it is, this is what it is.
typically the board votes to authorize the chairman to sign anything. Financial matters are always discussed publicly.
Yeah, I can't answer why it didn't make it to the next one, other than there was a time limit on the payment, I remember, but I'm not sure about it. I don't have those in front of me. To be honest with you, I took it at face value, but you're right. It should have gone in front of the board, absolutely. Yeah. I don't even know why it didn't.
Yeah, that's an issue.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Shelley, do you have your hand up?
Yeah, so that was the tax fee, that was the total fee versus the two letters that we got with the attachments that were dated it's from the Department of Treasury, 1/7/2020, and for the 2018-2017. So basically the penalties, is that the only cost that we received through that?
I couldn't hear all of it, but Joe, did you hear it?
I heard it, Mr. Chair. So one thing that I didn't point out when I first began talking a few minutes ago was that the initial penalties were quite high, and through the process with those involved, the final result was less than $6,000. So it came from several $100,000 down to $6,000 when it was resolved. So I think that answers Shelley's question, Mr. Chair.
Shelley, I can't hear you. Was that?
Yeah, it's just seeing the letters, it's kind of scary. And then you see the other one as a fee. I'm glad that it got reduced by that much.
Yeah, exactly. Any questions, David?
Yeah, so it sounds like somebody just wrote the check. Sounds like somebody just wrote the check out and paid this 5,000 whatever and didn't run it by anybody is what the question is. It sounds like. I don't know.
No, Cindy's right. It should have gone back to the board for a ratification, and that was a mistake. But I didn't just authorize somebody to write a check. We called our town manager and talked it over that the day that I was notified of it.
Oh, I see. You knew about it.
Yep.
Right. Okay. I didn't know. Yeah. I'm all good.
I can tell you I don't remember the days or the date, but I'm sure they've all got that in front of them. When I came into the office that day, because whenever John wasn't here, I would come in each day to see if there was anything that they needed help with. And Tracy was our acting town manager at the time. And she told me what the situation was. She had already gotten clarification from John, but we called him anyways. And that's the best. To me, that was the end of it. But Cindy is correct. It should have gone in front of the board. Cindy, you had your hand up again?
Yeah, I don't think John, I'm looking at the dates on the two IRS forms that you signed. Both were August 13th of 2020. I don't think John Madigan, I think he was done as town manager by that time.
He might have been, Cindy, but I know we called him because I didn't know about this stuff.
Yeah, it's not good. My comment.
Okay. Joe, anything else?
I think we covered everything that was on the questionnaire, Mr. Chair. I will say that the purchase order, people have that information. That was something that I have signed since I was here. But I did look at the paperwork that the chair referenced, so.
Okay.
So,
All right, thank you. Mr. Borgard, Mark.
Yes, Steve. I think you're right. It was a mistake that it didn't get discussed publicly because state law requires these types of matters to be discussed in public by the Board of Selectmen. And then the other thing about contacting legal, our town policy requires that if the town manager feels that he needs to contact legal, he also has to inform the selectmen that he has contacted legal or is contacting legal. And I'm wondering if the selectmen were notified about the town's legal getting involved in this IRS case way back in May.
Joe, do you have a comment?
Joe wasn't employed at that time.
yeah, I'm not sure. I don't remember seeing that in the paperwork that came through on this request.
What did the town's legal do? They help get the fees down or something?
Yes. Yep. Further comments, Cindy?
Yeah, what Mark's referring to, there's the last paragraph on the policy for contacting legal services. Says any request for legal services by committees, other boards, or employees of the town shall be made through the town manager with notification of such requests to the Board of Selectmen. That you won't find it in any minutes because it didn't happen.
Did we have a meeting in May?
Mhm.
Does anybody remember? Did we miss one or two?
No, we had meetings in May. We were discussing budget.
Correct.
But you're right, Ethan, we did earlier on, you're right, we did miss,
I think it was April.
yeah, early April,
Yeah, I believe so.
but
Yeah.
we
Yeah, I was
then, yeah, you're right.
I was just
But
wondering if it slipped through the cracks during all the hullabaloo from the pandemic stuff.
This is, yeah, again, this, don't blame anybody but me. And Cindy is correct when John Madigan wasn't here, but I know I spoke with him about this because I didn't know what to do. And I knew we had a time sensitive issue to take care of. The fact that it didn't get on the next agenda is, again, I should have instructed Tracy to make sure. She's right, made a mistake. Anything else on this issue?
Not for me.
I want to make sure it's all out there. Cindy, you all set?
Yeah.
Ethan?
Yeah.
Shelley?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Borgard? You good? Okay, thank you. Comprehensive Plan and Implementation Committee Bylaws, second reading. There's no changes to it. Again, I certainly can read it, but there are no changes. Anything you want to mention about this, Joe?
No, Mr. Chair, you're correct. It's exactly as you saw it 2 weeks ago. And this, in case anybody's wondering, this is in response to the board's direction to have me and staff recruit or look for people interested in discussing the characteristics of our downtown and or the TIF district in relation to the Comprehensive Plan Committee Tracy and I did meet with Chris Farmer, and he's interested in being part of this. And if anybody else is interested, once this is adopted, please send them our way, and we'll get them, try to get them appointed through the board. But this is the same document that you saw 2 weeks ago, Mr. Chairman.
You're going to require a motion to move it forward?
This, if the board is inclined to create this committee and establish it, this would require action to do so. Yes.
What's your thoughts, everyone?
Yeah, I think we should establish the committee and move forward with this.
Cindy?
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Okay. Shelley?
Yes, move forward.
Okay. David?
Yes.
All right, entertain a motion then, please. Good.
Make a motion that we adopt the Comprehensive Plan Review and Implementation Committee bylaws as presented.
Second.
Moved in second, thank you. Ethan?
Aye.
Shelley?
Aye.
Cindy?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Aye, 5-0. We have a North Star Regional Ambulance EMS Participation Agreement update. Any questions from the board? Ethan?
The only, well, I don't know if it's directly related to this document, but I do have one concern with North Star EMS, and that has to do with response time. I don't have times written down, but I do take issue with how long it takes them to respond to calls sometimes. Albeit they do a great job medically, and I've had experience with that, at least with family members. But I'd like it known that I have an issue with their response time.
Thank you. Anybody else? Shelley?
I think that looking at the contract, they actually have not only the director that you can reach out to, but they also have, I believe in the contract, it said something about a committee. So if something happens and someone is dissatisfied with any of their customer service, then we should be sending something to them. An individual person should be sending something to them.
Okay, I apologize, Shelley. I got most of it, but I don't hear well. Did you get all of that, Joe, and the rest of you?
Yep.
Yeah,
Mr.
Steve.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Cindy.
Basically, Steve, Shelley was pointing out within the document, there are avenues, resources for people to contact. As far as, filing complaints or concerns. So, folks should probably hang on to this. It might be a nice resource for the board to hang on to as well. And have it available if we can, I think we have to show, specific days and times when their response was not what it should have been.
Okay,
But that was the gist of it, Steve, is that Shelley said there are avenues that we can go down, and it's explained within the document.
Shelley, I'm assuming you can hear me. There is a review committee, and Joe Rhodes sits on that committee. So if we have complaints that come to us, we can just forward them right to Joe, because he does sit on. We appointed him a month or two ago for that. So
One more hat.
exactly, with no stipend. Poor thing. Is that Cindy? Do you have anything else?
I have nothing.
How about you, David?
No.
Okay, Cindy, let me ask you this. Should we table this for right now until we can give a good update to the board?
I don't think there's anything we can do, Steve.
Okay, so let's move it then. I agree. I will tell you that Steve Philbrick has some administrative concerns. And I'll leave it at that. I have no concerns with the medics, with the personnel, the EMTs, the drivers. I have heard concerns about response time. I will echo Ethan's concern. I am concerned about policies and administrative actions, but for the most part, we're getting a very good deal for what we pay. And, but again, I do have concerns about administration. So Joe, would you like us to move forward with this tonight if we're happy?
The only, I was gonna say the only action pending, but the way this is written, Mr. Chair, if the board doesn't have any concerns about the agreement, then it automatically renews on April 1st. So you've got a little bit more time. This is March 1st. You know, if you wanted to do a last call, so to speak, on March 15th, and then if you decide, you know, you don't have any concerns, or if you know now that you don't have any concerns, you can just let it lapse. And as you pointed out, I am the, I don't mean lapse, I mean let it automatically renew. I am on the North Star board. If the folks want to come to me, or if as a board you want to direct me to bring something to that committee, it would be my duty to do so. But you know, if you wanted to take a couple more weeks and think about it and bring it back on the 15th, you have time to do that as a board.
Yep, and if anybody'd like to talk to me about my concerns, I'd be happy to share it with my board members.
Good idea.
Give Cindy a call too. That would be helpful as the vice chair. Thank you. We'll move on. The health ride update, Joe?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I just briefly wanted to kind of close the loop on something the board voted on a while back since I was here. You voted to authorize the construction or placement of a shed at 3 School Street for the purpose of housing the Rangeley health ride. I always want to call it the Rat Band, the health ride. Keith and I have coordinated it so that the van is actually out here in the town office parking lot. Keith has made sure that it's cleared off after every storm, and that's been very amenable, or we've been successful with the coordinator. He likes that. The drivers like it, and I don't believe, according to him, that we need to worry about building a shed right now as long as that service continues. So I want to thank Keith for taking the initiative to handle that for us. And then the second item, another thing that I mentioned to the board that I wanted to do was bring the health ride policy to legal. That began at MMA Legal. As they do with a lot of heavy duty stuff, they recommend that we bring it to the town's own attorney, which they did in that case. And Attorney Langsdorff reviewed that policy, the existing Rangeley health ride policy, and deemed it appropriate. He said it covered us and the volunteers and the coordinator. So I just wanted to report back to you on both of those items.
Any questions about the Rangeley health ride? Okay, thank you. New business. Recommendation to combine downtown and economic development reserves. We heard last meeting that there's a request to combine those two funding streams into one account. I shared with you that I thought that if money that is voted on at a town meeting through a town meeting process for a specific use should stay that way. You all had some concerns as well. Joe, would you tell us what you heard from the committee?
Yes, Mr. Chair. So the Rangeley Region Economic Opportunity Committee last Monday, a week ago today in the morning, they voted to recommend to the select board that you consolidate these two reserves. And I have a couple of sentences from the chair of that committee that I will read to you. The main point is the downtown reserve was originally created for the plan, and Kate is referring to the downtown revitalization plan there. Many of our projects touch both economic issues as well as downtown, so it is hard to earmark specifics that don't touch on both. A new reserve that is called Economic Development / Downtown Improvements seems to cover both, so combining makes some sense. So that's the thoughts, or those are the thoughts from the chair of the Economic Committee. And in thinking this through and talking about it with others, I see the value in it. I also share some of the concerns of the chair that if anything in here was specifically raised and appropriated to be in those reserves for that purpose, then you probably, if you're going to go forward with consolidating them, it probably should be town meeting that consolidates those two reserves, if that's your pleasure. That's my feeling on it. But
Questions?
I brought it to the board, Mr. Chair, at the request of the committee.
Thank you, Joe. Questions from the board? Ethan?
I'm just trying to figure out what the detriment to not doing this is. Is there, Joe, do you think there's any reason we shouldn't do this?
Cindy?
Yeah, I'm like Ethan. I'm not sure there's a downside. Oh, if there were grant monies that were tucked into reserve for specific use, but I don't recall that being the case.
Okay. Shelley?
No, I don't. I think that what they're recommending is, makes sense.
David?
Sounds good to me.
I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we combine downtown and economic development reserves.
Second it.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, would it be, I feel like I would like to be sure that this should go to, if we do this, we want to make sure that it gets town meeting approval. So I don't know if we could amend that to say pending town meeting approval, something to that
So
effect.
Agree with that, David?
Yes.
Okay. I'm assuming this is the June town meeting.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. We have a motion to combine it pending June town meeting approval. So we're going to be issuing a warrant article for that town meeting. All clear as mud. Ethan?
Aye.
Cindy?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Shelley?
Aye.
Thank you. 5-0. Aye. Mr. David Haley requested an update for the truck number 11. Joe or Keith, whoever is going to talk about that.
I'll start off, Mr. Chairman. So Selectman Haley actually asked for information relating to truck number 8, I believe. That was a truck that a year ago had an engine replacement. The item that's on the agenda under number 10 is truck number 11. I'd like to give the board an update on that. The engine on that truck for a number of years has given various issues, EGR, coolers, and so forth. Lately, it's really given Keith a lot of grief. It's not running currently, and it's in for diagnosis. Keith, if you want to add any details, go ahead and chime in. I'll let you do that. But the engine, we're not sure that it's worth replacing, and we're not really sure what's wrong with it. Sparky's going to pop the head off it and take a look inside and see if the engine is catastrophic. To that end, I just, number one, wanted you to be aware that one of the wheelers is out of service. We do have a plan B in place. Keith has put this in place with his folks so that all the routes are accounted for in terms of plowing and sanding. That's number one, as we know, the service is covered. Number two, Keith did look into this for me, and in the last 3 or 4 years, we've spent almost $50,000. Isn't that right, Keith? Somewhere in that neighborhood on EGR, coolers, and other things for truck 11. Go ahead, Keith.
That number is correct. I will say, though, that $51,000 comes from the year of purchase to current. Now, we obviously are missing the most recent one, potentially 2 invoices from the garage service right now. So we are currently at roughly $51,000 with that truck.
Okay, thank you. So the two things I want to do tonight. Number one, I've already done. I've informed the board what's going on with that truck. It's out in for diagnosis right now and it's out of service. Number two, in the capital plan, which we'll get into tomorrow night more when you meet with the budget committee, truck number 11 is up for replacement. What I would like to do, even before this happened, Keith and I and his folks were talking about building an RFP, which we've got put together. Keith spent a lot of time putting that together, did a good job on it. I'd like to release that. There's no cost to release it. We can put the RFP out and see what the actual today's numbers are for a replacement truck. We've talked a lot about it. We've talked about different scenarios, but I think it would behoove us all to at least get the cost of a replacement truck and have that information moving forward. The other thing that factors into this, it's March 1st, and I know that winters are longer here in Rangeley than other places, but we may be able to, I'm going to knock on wood, get by with the program we've got in place now and not have a tremendous sense of urgency with truck 11. We may have time to think about this so that we don't put a lot of money into something that's near the end of its useful life. So again, part two of my discussion, Mr. Chair, was just to request that you allow me to release an RFP. There's no cost associated with that. It's already put together, and I'd like to release that this week if you're okay with that, and we'll get it back sometime in April so we can look at the numbers.
Okay, start off with questions about the initial concerns. Anybody have anything else? I'll get to David in a second. Ethan, you got anything?
Is the RFP going out, Joe? Is that for the same size, comparable truck? Are you going bigger? Are you going smaller?
It'll be a comparable size truck, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All right, I guess we're going to go with the RFP first. Are you good with the RFP, Cindy?
Yes.
David?
I'd like to look at it first. See
That
what
yeah,
they're specking out, I mean. I have
All
quite a
right.
lot of knowledge on that stuff.
Shelley, you good with that?
I'm good with that.
Okay,
What Joe said.
I'm good with having Joe look at it, David look at it with Joe and then get it going. Are you all good with that?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you, David, for your offering. Now, any other questions regarding the rest of the discussion?
Yes, I got a question.
Go ahead.
The 51,000 was for the truck a year ago. Are you saying there's another 51,000 on this truck in this other truck?
Approximately, Mr. Chair. It's at 49 or 50. It's in that neighborhood. Not recently. It's within the last 3 or 4 years added together. Is that right, Keith? It's 2 or 3 years of slips for truck 11.
Yeah, correct. So again, that 51,000 that David has stated was for truck number 8, which is the in-town truck. Within the last year, we spent that on that motor replacement. Number 11, the wheeler in question, we have spent roughly that $51,000 since the time of purchase, which actually ends up being 2009-10, of which we have $51,000 or $50,000 is primarily engine work, 4 or 5 EGR coolers. We actually had the motor broke down and re-sleeved. I say this was before I was in this position. A number of other things within that motor. So,
Interesting.
and I will tell you, just for public notion, that it is known that this motor series, this Max Force 10 in these internationals are problematic. The unfortunate part is we are outside of warranty and they do not, despite the problematic engine platform, that's not covered within any other manufacturer recalls or anything.
Just make sure you don't put much money in that one you got broke down. 'Cause probably won't go well.
That's the goal right now. Just a little bit. I'll keep it brief. I will tell you that it's at Sparky's garage. Sparky has been in contact with International Mechanics. Their recommendation, obviously, you could do a new motor, but that's roughly $51,000 for a truck that you won't get that back out of ever. Right now, estimation, feeling from the mechanic is if we leave the truck as is, we'll say if the motor is bad, again, if Might be able to get rid of that truck for upwards of 20 grand as a parts truck, upwards to 20 grand, maybe.
That's what I'm wondering. You don't touch it and just
Right,
Right.
just out the door, correct.
spend another nickel on it and just.
Right.
But
Because it
when
won't
you
be a good backup truck either. We have no place to put a secondary, it's needs to go.
Any other questions? Thank you, David.
Yep.
You don't need any movement on this, just an FYI. So we'll move on to department head updates. You can see they've all been pretty busy. Any questions on the department head updates? Okay. If you're looking at your calendar, we've got a meeting tomorrow night, 6 o'clock for the budget. You'll see next Tuesday is our March 9th election day. March 10th, we have a 2 p.m. broadband delegate meeting. Joe, would you like to talk to us about, did I miss any other meetings? Okay,
No, I think you got them all. I can, if you'd like, I can give a brief update on the March 10th meeting. The RFP for the broadband service went out last week. And in that RFP, there's a provision for a mandatory pre-bid or pre-proposal meeting, which is going to take place at 2 p.m. on March 10th. So I thought that would be a good time to have the delegates come together, see what questions are out there from the folks that are interested. And also there's some other information that some of those folks are looking for, or follow-up information for the interlocal agreement and so forth. So that will be on the agenda on the 10th, the interlocal agreement question, and also the pre-proposal meeting for the broadband RFP.
any questions? Thank you, Joe. You want to give an update on the CARE grant, please?
Sure. I want to give credit to Chief Bacon on this one, and Rebecca and other folks that were involved in compiling the invoices for operational items at the airport. They got that all together, and I put it into the FAA system with the help of Laurel Pearson from Stantec. I can't take all the credit there either, but she helped me get that put in. And we did receive word that of the 20,000 worth of invoices that we put in, we were approved for all 20,000. So we'll get the reimbursement under this CARES grant, and there's another one I think that's been released. It's not as much money this time around, but I'm looking into that. So the update is that we applied for $20,000 worth of reimbursement, and we will receive that. We've been approved.
Thank you. Questions from anybody?
That was just for the airport? We got money for the airport or something?
Yes, Mr. Chair. So the CARES Act grant would cover operational items at the airport, and they were very liberal with what they would cover. We got the new tires for the loader covered under this completely. So as you know, Joe, that's there's $13,000 to $14,000 to buy those tires and have them mounted. And they also covered some AWAC equipment and other things. So we made out pretty well. And the credit goes to Chief Bacon, Rebecca, and others that really put that all together. All I did was plug it in.
Any other questions? Next up is the current year's legal bills, request from the selectmen. Joe?
Mr. Chair, I think we've got everything to date in there from Pretty Flaherty. So from July 1 to date, there's an invoice summary for each period. And it's fairly detailed. You can get a pretty good picture of what's happening. One thing that you can't see in this, but I did make a note of in your packet, and Rebecca and I worked on this, the monthly invoice fees for Zoom has been taken from this account. We're going to correct that. We have corrected that. But you don't see that in this paperwork. This paperwork just is not the financial stuff. It's the actual invoices for legal services. So if there are any questions with those, I'd be happy to answer them.
I'd like to make a comment.
Go ahead.
It's nice to see that they're itemized out now, so you know what you're paying for.
Thank you. Cindy, do you have your hand up?
No, all
Okay.
set.
Shelley?
No, all set.
Ethan?
What's that?
Good. All right, anybody else? Good. Thank you,
So-
Joe. Oh, Cindy?
Yeah, sorry, Steve, so did these so did these invoices match the total on our expense summary reports that are part of the budget review?
I'm going to say yes, but I would want to be sure of that before I answer that.
That's fine. You can answer at another time.
Well, tomorrow would be a good time. We'll get an answer tomorrow night.
Yep.
Good.
Again, the reason I hesitate.
I couldn't make it to come out, but I just tried quickly, you know.
I'll give you a
So-
call and let you know. Yep. Okay, Article 21. Joe,
Mr. Chairman, this is the section of the personnel policy that we discussed, I believe it was a week ago tonight, was it? It was last week at the budget meeting. That relates to wage adjustments. The board had asked to have that in the packet so that everybody could become familiar with it. The one thing that I'll note, and I think I shared this email in the packet. Yeah, I did.
Yep.
One of the things it requires is a salary survey. And I looked around, couldn't find anything recent. And then I'll be honest, I spent 20 minutes or so thinking I might be able to put something together real quick. And then I realized, that was a futile effort, because this is, it's an involved thing. And it deserves some attention and some work. And you'll hear this again in the budget meeting tomorrow night, but I will request that the board do an actual formal salary survey, and the email spells out what the cost might be for that. And the coincidental thing is on the listserv within the last month or two, there was an email from the Bridgeton deputy town manager and basically asking for the same thing. And I would recommend kind of a third party. I know it's expensive on the front end, but I think it would be in our best interest to at least consider this, because it takes it's somebody's going to look at it kind of with fresh eyes from the outside in. It's just a suggestion, but at the very least, the salary survey is kind of something I need in my toolkit under Article 21. So we'll have to figure out how we're going to do that. My suggestion is to have a third party do it through the budget process, but I do need to have a salary survey. And other than that, that's Article 21 is in there for your review and information ahead of tomorrow's meeting.
questions from the board, please. Cindy?
Yeah, I just think this would be good for a future discussion. Yeah, as far as, budget, I thought Annalee did a salary scale, but maybe it was just for specific positions that we had openings for over the years. But I thought there was something, but I could be wrong.
We did see one recently that did not have any bearing on Rangeley.
No, and that's not even that's
Yeah.
union executive session stuff.
No, I understand that, but I mean, my point I'm getting at is that when we do it, we did
Yeah.
one in the past when I first came on the board. I think that was specific to the mechanic position. That's the last one I remember hearing about.
It was before that.
Annalee
Yeah.
brought us a few towns that I remember saying that they weren't they weren't towns that were like or similar to Rangeley. I bristled at that. That was for the mechanic position that I recall. And I don't know about before that, Cindy. I wasn't paying attention to that stuff.
Yeah, I don't think that came from Annalee.
Ethan, you got anything?
I think an income survey is a great idea, but I'll echo what Steve said. Wherever we're drawing conclusions from, the towns have to be comparable so that it makes sense. So I'm in favor of doing a survey.
Shelley?
Yeah, I agree. You're not gonna get the same appraisal price in Rangeley as you are on the coast. So I know that there are other tourist towns and things like that, but I think we need to be really comparable of what we actually have for departments and department heads.
Cindy actually gave me a list not too long ago that I'd like to have her share with the board. I think those towns that she suggested were spot on in terms of, comparability and the fact that travel and tourism figures highly into them. David, you got any questions?
No, I'm all set with whatever you guys want to do, I guess. How much this survey might cost, though, I was wondering.
Joe?
Ballpark.
So the estimate, Mr. Chair, from the one company that we reached out to here was 8,000, but that number covers all the employees, as I understand it.
Mm-hmm. Is
So
there
are we looking
is
for
there an
all
anticipation?
employees?
I'm sorry, Shelley, go ahead.
Sorry, are we looking for all employees? Or are we just looking for the non-union?
Non-union?
I didn't hear it all.
So with
Joe's
the
on mute.
salaries,
Yep, sorry about that. I heard the question, and it's a very good question, actually. I'm glad you brought it up. I believe this number covers everyone, including the union. I'm not recommending that at this point. It's something you might consider, but this number was for all employees. It's probably less than this definitely would be less than this for non-union employees. The policy relates to non-union employees. So the salary survey that I'm requesting would also relate to non-union employees.
Any other questions?
No, I don't have a problem with it, as long as they compare it to, apples to apples, don't compare us to Portland or Bangor. I don't know how they do it, but I mean,
I'm going to take a stab at it, but if I remember Cindy's recommendation, there were 3 Bs, Bethel, Belgrade, and Bridgeton, and Jackman or Greenville,
No.
which
Greenville, not
Greenville.
Jackman.
Okay, Greenville.
But also, there really should be a pulse of Franklin County as well. I mean, that is, so I just feel like, I mean, there are a couple of similar towns, Wilton's a lakefront town. Carabasset is a little different. There may be some valuable information, for certain positions, but we're not going to find that towns run things like we do. There's a lot of combination positions, so it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to be terribly cut and dry. I think it's going to be. I think we need a professional.
There's
without
no
question.
anticipation that we're going to get this thing done before the budget committee, before
No.
budget season's over with.
No.
No, not this year. No.
Yeah, so we certainly have time to, research this a tiny bit and then get it back to the board so we can move on a little bit later on.
Yeah.
Bring your recommendations to Joe, because I think all of them are important. Anything else on on that?
I don't know if they do it or not. Do they give all the employees a printout of what the total cost is for the employee, the vacation, the health insurance? They get a total lump sum for the year. It shows them what it is.
Go ahead, Joe.
We don't actively do that, but we can pull that out of the budgets fairly easily.
I just think the employee ought to know. It'd be nice if the employee got it. Just, you can see what the total cost is,
Yeah, if we're going to include benefit time, vacation time and such, then we would have to make dollar amounts available in lieu of vacation in order for that to be apples and apples.
I'm
You
just-
can't compare dollars to days off.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm just
Well, you did
talking,
say the total cost associated.
Right.
That would, I just took it as, this is how much you cost us as an employee when a time off doesn't necessarily incrementally cost the town money.
right, but the social security, the health insurance for the year, the total cost. It'd be surprising,
Yep.
you know. I didn't think it surprised a lot of people what the total cost is. If they get a printout, I know a lot of companies give whole printouts of what it is for the year. I don't know if don't seems like it costs any money, but I don't know. Computer, I think just spits it right out. I'm not sure.
Any other questions? Any other comments, Joe? You all set with that?
I'm all set, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much.
Okay. I think that's it. Select Board Communications. Cindy,
I was just wondering if the town clerk is going to get an exit interview. I know Annalee has offered that as a person removed from the setting. So just wondering,
Mr.
asking the
Chairman,
town manager.
Mr. Chairman, the answer is yes. I arranged for that last week. It's supposed to be conducted at the end of this week.
Thank you.
Both parties know that it's happening. So the town clerk and Annalee.
thank you. Any others? Ethan?
No.
No. David?
Well,
Shelley? No. Okay, thank you. I don't have anything either. We need to go into executive session. Somebody make a motion, please.
Mark got his hand up.
Looks like there's a question,
Oh,
Steve.
go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, I was just wanted to mention before you go into executive session, that if the town manager's driving home tonight, that he be careful and have a safe trip. The
Mhm.
roads are pretty dicey right at the moment, and there's some periods of whiteout and stuff.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
I would concur with that.
I don't know who that is, but thank you too.
It was Chris Farmer.
Oh, okay, I see you. There you are. Thank you, Chris.
I just came out from Farmington. It is slippery and slow going.
I'm glad you made it safe, Chris. Thank you both. I need a motion.
Make a motion that we go into executive session pursuant to MRSA Title I, Chapter 13, Subchapter 1, Section 4056D, for the purpose of discussing labor negotiations.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Ethan?
Aye.
Cindy?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Shelley?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I'm going to move some folks to the waiting room, and then I'll let you know when the room is clear.
Okay, thank you. Are you all ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, you're recording now, and I'm going to let the one member of the public in.
Hello, Mr. Farmer. No action to be taken on the executive session of labor negotiations. We are now going to go into executive session on personnel matters.
I make a motion that we go into executive session pursuant MRSA Title I, Chapter 13, Subchapter 1, 405, Personnel Matters, 6A, 405, 6A.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Ethan?
Aye.
Shelley?
Aye.
Cindy?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
Okay, I will let the public out. Chris, I'm going to put you in the waiting room. Sorry about that. And now I'm going to turn off the recording.
8:19, but go ahead and turn the recorder on and
Yep, you're on.
All right, we're coming out of executive session at 8:19. Anything else from my board? Our board? Need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to
So
adjourn.
moved.
Who
Second,
said it and who seconded it?
I think David Haley
Yeah.
made, oh, Ethan made the motion.
Okay, Ethan and David seconded. All in favor?
Yeah.
Ethan?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Shelley?
Aye.
Cindy?
Aye.
5-0. Thanks, everyone.
Have a good
See you
night.
tomorrow.
Bye.
Still on.
What do I need?